Good evening, everybody. How are you keeping? So, welcome to our 12 days of Christmas. That seems to be going on for the whole month of December. My God, I'm wore out with it. But listen, it's great fun. We're getting great interaction, and absolutely we appreciate every comment, every heart, every smiley face, every little bit of love, and obviously every share that you give us. So well done, everyone. Thanks a million. So first of all, let us know, where are you watching in from? What's the weather like in your part of the world? Make us jealous, because the weather's not great here in Ireland, Dublin at the moment. And in case you're wondering, what am I doing? I'm cutting up bits of twigs. So these are bunches of twigs that come in different colours, by the way. And I buy them in from Wicklow Foliage Farm. They're in Red Cross, County Wicklow. There's loads more still to get off there. And what I'm going to do with this particular wreath tonight is kind of have a little bit of a rustic look to it. So I'm using some 20 gauge wires, getting some twigs together, hooking the wire around the end of them, and then wrapping it around a good few times, okay? Because normally when I'm telling you to wire up the twigs or anything that I'm wrapping up, okay, I normally say wind the wire around 2 or 3 times. But you'll see me tonight, what I'm actually doing is I'm winding the wire around 3, 4 or 5 times. So I am going around that little bit extra to be feckin' well sure. So when I'm bunching them together, no particular system, okay? I'm just kind of like grabbing a few wires together, making a little hook at the end of the wire, and again just wrapping it around. So while I'm doing this, okay, let's get the competition off. So fair play to everybody, you're interacting every night, okay, and we've been giving away 3 prizes every evening. And listen, tonight is not going to be any different, and you're going to have 3 different options of winning the prize. The prize is going to be a mini Christmas online floristry program. So something that you can watch at home at your own pace and learn some other designs, whether it's for decorating your own home or given as a present to somebody. Now, how can you win that prize? There's 3 different ways. The first way is a real simple way. Just comment below there and just say, pick me, pick me, pick me. That's all you have to say. You don't even have to say it 3 times. Pick me in the comments, and enter as often as you wish. And what will happen is, when this video is finished, the class is finished, Deirdre will go through the comments, and more than likely the name that keeps popping up that's saying pick me, pick me, pick me, more than likely she'll pick them. She'll put a little comment underneath telling them what to do to claim their prize. The other option that you have is you can actually share our video, and we really would appreciate if as many people as possible. So if I get 20 people signed in tonight watching this video, it would be absolutely brilliant if I also got 20 shares on our video. So click share and share it to your own page. And it also means if you've been doing that over the last 12 nights, like our 12 days of Christmas, you now have 12 different designs of door wreaths to be able to look back on yourself. And even if it's next year, you know, you'll be able to search for them yourself on your own page, and you'll be able to look back at them classes and get yourself organised. So share our video, but let me know that you have shared, because plenty of people are sharing it, but they're forgetting to write shared in the comments. So then what happens is Deirdre doesn't realise you've shared, and she won't pick you. So if you've shared it once, shared it twice, shared it 3 times, let us know in the comments, and again, Deirdre will randomly pick somebody. And the third way of winning our prize tonight is to name one of Santa's reindeers. Any of the reindeers at all, we don't mind, okay? Name one of Santa's reindeers, and again, put it in the comments, and we'll randomly pick somebody later on, obviously, for the prize winner. So while I'm wiring up the twigs, okay, again, if you have any questions, so if you have any questions about where I'm getting material or where you could buy it, suppliers, or maybe techniques of what I'm doing, and you'd like to see it kind of like up close and personal, let me know in the comments, and again I will try and, you know, answer any requests and oblige you as much as I possibly can. The other thing is, over the last, well, it's not 12 days yet, but over the last 12 days I've tried to do something different every night. And again, a little bit outside the box, like rather than doing the exact same wreaths that everybody else is doing, I'm trying to do something a little bit different. But also what I'm doing is I'm using up, and you can see that here, I'm using up literally all the wastage or all the leftovers or all the bits that's in the end of the box, okay? So it's a great way of using them up, but also it makes my items, my door wreaths, my grave wreaths, they look a little bit different to everybody else's. Like a big thing I hear is, oh, the flower shop down the road is copying me, and they're doing that wreath for 45 euros and my one is 50 euros or whatever it might be. Do something that's not the same as the flower shop down the road. Think outside the box, okay? Maybe she hasn't got these red twigs, maybe she doesn't know about the twigs. Do something a little bit different, okay, that she can't copy you, and again, she can't compete against you because she doesn't have the exact same wreath. But if you keep doing things ordinary, Joe soap, you know what I mean, with a couple of pine cones and a bow, anybody can go and do that, and it's obviously really easy to copy. Now you're loving the bows, okay, and obviously bows are right on theme at the moment. Bows in your hair, bows on your dresses, bows on your jumpers. Even some of the jumpers I've been wearing for the 12 days of Christmas. I'm out jumpers tonight, so I had to promise Santi jumper, but I've had bows on them as well. So tonight I'm going to use the tartan ribbon, okay, and I'm going to make 5 bows, and yes, you heard me right, I'm going to put 5 bows in this wreath, okay, which is a little bit, you know, outside the ordinary, a little bit outside the box, and maybe a little bit too much. But listen, we'll see how it goes. If I don't like it, I might stop at 3. I have done demonstrations with you over the last few nights where I did use 3 bows, if somebody has watched them, and then I've obviously done lots of demonstrations where I only used 1 bow, which would be the normal. But remember, we're doing something that the woman down the road, the florist down the road, can't copy you know that way, something a little bit different. So the fabric ribbons, you'll get these in all of the flower wholesalers. And wholesalers that will sell to people that are not in the trade, okay, and yet you'll still get them at a reasonable price. One place would be O'Neill's Flowers up in Carlingford, County Louth. So you can go onto their website, buy your rolls of ribbon, very reasonably priced. You'll stick them in the post to you, well, tomorrow morning, and you'll have them the following day. Another place for buying in ribbons would be Evergreen Silk Plants. Now they're in Ardee, County Louth, and again, go onto their website, order your ribbons, they'll be posted tomorrow and you'll have them the following day. And I suppose the last place, losing count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, one more to do. The last place would be flowerwholesale.ie. They're based here in Dublin. And obviously any of these places you can go and visit them as well. You don't have to order online. If you want to go in and pick out the fabric ribbon that you want, there's no problem at all. You can actually go into them and pick it out yourself. So there is my 5 bows made. And if you've been following us on both Facebook and Instagram, I've been posting lots of videos. I'm using this scissors here. This is a cheap scissors out of Lidl or Aldi, and it's absolutely brilliant for cutting the fabric. Where I find my own florist scissors, which is great for cutting the wires and the spruce and the holly, because at this stage with Christmas I have it absolutely wrecked. And any of you watching, you know what I mean, that have been doing the same as me, you'll find that when you go to cut the ribbon, your scissors won't cut through it because it's wrecked from cutting the wires, okay? Now you can buy wire cutters out there, but most wire cutters don't cut through lots of wires at the same time, where the florist scissors does, you know that way. Now the great thing about the florist scissors is they can be sharpened, but to be honest, I'm just literally up to my eyes lately and I haven't had the chance to go and get them sharpened. But most places that sharpen lawnmowers, you know that way, key cutting places, shoemakers, I always can find them sort of places, they nearly always will sharpen your scissors as well. So my 5 bows, I'm going to start off, and I know you're saying, oh my god, 5 bows. I'm going to put a bow at the top, don't tell me twigs to fall on the ground there. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to put a bow at the top, insert the wire down through the spruce. These bows haven't got a wire in them, so there's not as much body in the fabric. And then I'm going to put 2 bows on this side and 2 bows on the opposite side. I could put 6 bows and have one down the middle as well, down the other end, but I'm not going to. I think the 5 will be enough. So just turn this around to me. So that one's in the centre. So I'm going to put one approximately here. And it doesn't have to be tartan. So again, if you're at home and you like this idea and you like the idea of the bows, but maybe the tartan isn't your cup of tea, you can obviously do it with any of the other ribbons. And that's why I'd recommend you to go on to the websites that I mentioned, you know, that way, or go into the wholesalers that I mentioned, and you know, pick out the ribbon that maybe complements your hall door. Like I did a blue one there the other evening, and it got great feedback. And the amount of people that actually have blue hall doors, and they're all saying, oh my God, that would suit my house, you know. So unfortunately I couldn't send it out to you. I would have loved to, but unfortunately I couldn't. Now I'm just having a little fix around here with my bows and my streamers and my tails and my loops and so on. Not perfectly even, you know, that way, but I'm happy enough. It's grand. So there is my wreath base with my 5 bows on it. What I'm now going to do is down the bottom at what I would call 6 o'clock, I'm just going to do a group of 3 lotus heads or lotus pods. As I said earlier, I could have put a bow, but I just feel I've enough, okay? So I'm just going to put a group of 3 lotus heads in this area. So I have these lotus heads wired already. And something that fascinated me this year, I always knew it, okay? But I always knew that some people have a phobia to lotus heads or anything that has holes in it. I can never remember the name of it. It begins with T. Somebody might comment underneath there. They can use Dr. Google and find out. But this year, the amount of people that I've come across that have this phobia against them, it's just been off the wall this year. It just seems to be every second person is allergic to them or has a phobia to them. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some pine cones. And I have the pine cones wired already. Now when I'm adding in the pine cones, I could add them in groups like what I did there with the lotus heads. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of the pine cones towards the outside of my wreath base, and some of my pine cones towards the inside of my wreath base. So all of these wires are being inserted down through the spruce, and my hand is underneath and it's catching the 20 gauge wire and it's making a U-bend and sticking it back up into the base. Sometimes because I don't actually lift the base up, people just say, like, is she really doing that? But believe me, I am. Because if I didn't do it, all of the pine cones would fall out. You know that when you're hanging on the door, everything will fall out. So as the wire comes through the spruce, through the foliage, out to the other side, I'm grabbing it underneath. So you know I always call this hand the gynecology hand. So the gynecology hand is down here underneath, poking around, but the doctor doesn't have to go down there and look, you know what I mean? He just feels his way, finds the wire, makes a little U-bend in the wire and sticks it back up into the base. Now I've lots of small cones here, and you find that with the bags of cones, and you can buy the bags of cones in O'Neill's Flowers, Wicklow Foliage Farm, Evergreen Silk Plants, wholesaleflowers.ie, or listen, go up to Phoenix Park in Dublin and collect them if there's any left at this stage. But when you buy the bag of cones, there's always a mixture of different sizes, big ones, medium ones and small ones. And it's mad, without thinking about it, you naturally pick out all the bigger ones at the beginning. And I'm just coming towards the end of everything, like the end of my pine cones, the end of my lemon slices, like I'm really on the leftovers at this stage. And I am finding that nearly all the pine cones that I have left over are all smaller ones, which is absolutely fine, like there's nothing wrong with them. But I probably find I'm using extra of them, do you know, that way, because they are that little bit smaller. So the lotus pods is kind of going in the middle at the bottom, which you see down there. And then the pine cones, and you can see the way I went outside and inside with them. So it just made the wreath look that little bit chunkier. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm now adding in the twigs, okay? So you've seen me earlier on where I wired up all these twigs. And literally it was like, you know, it wasn't rubbish. There was a bunch of twigs that I did cut up. But like, go out into your own garden, and I bet you there's loads of trees in the garden that all the leaves have fallen off. Or go out for a walk with the dog, and you're going to see twigs on the ground. Or you probably pick up a twig in the Phoenix Park and you throw it to the dog, you know, that way you could get your dog trained to collect all the twigs and bring them back to you. So what you could do is collect loads of twigs and use them in their natural colour. Like, it would be beautiful with the lotus heads and the pine cones here, but why don't you spray them? So the tartan ribbon that I have there has a little bit of gold in it. Also has a little bit of blue and green, by the way, as well. But there's a tiny little gold thread going through it. So if you got your twigs and you spray some gold or silver, you know, the way, depending on the ribbon that you're using, and then add them in and out through the wreath that you had, like the gold or the silver twigs. It'd be absolutely gorgeous. Now when I'm adding in the twigs, I'm not following any system, I'm not following any routine, and I haven't overthought it, or I didn't even have a plan and said, right, I'm going to put them here, there or everywhere. I'm just spinning it around on the edge of the table while I'm talking to you and just sticking the wire in wherever I kind of feel. I want it to look untidy, a bit wild and very rustic looking. That's the only thing that I kind of have in mind. And like it's costing, like it's very little, it doesn't cost an awful lot of money to do this. It probably takes a bit of time. And I know you watched me wiring up the twigs, but I won't say I'm a flyer at it, but I'm fairly fast at it because it's something that I'm kind of doing all the time. So I probably have the twigs and that wired up a lot quicker than maybe you would. But these are things that you could be doing when you're quiet. So again, the lotus pods is the bottom of my door wreath, just to let you see it so far. Now I'm not finished, I still have some twigs there. What I'm now going to add through it is a couple of the orange slices. So I have the orange slices wired already, and I just think these are going to look absolutely gorgeous with the tartan ribbon. So again, no particular pattern. Like I just look at the base, and wherever my eye is drawn to, so I just turn that around, my eye is drawn into that spot, and that's where I stick in the item. Where I often see, especially at the workshops, and there's nothing wrong with this, like this would be a beginner's thing, but people would be there and saying, will I, maybe I'll go there, no, maybe I'll go over there. Just stick the bloody thing in and move on to the next stage, because that's what you have to do when you're working in a flower shop, you know, commercially, is the customer is queuing up, waiting on these, and while I'm hemming and hawing about where I'll stick the oranges in, I probably have sold another one, I definitely have another one made. So just stick the items in, don't overthink it, you know, that way, and you can't really go wrong. Like often I'd like look at my own wreaths that I've done, and I might say afterwards, and I've often said it here live, I've more on that side than I have on the other side. But you know what? When you're standing at the hall door and it's bloody freezing and you've rang the bell and you're dying to get into the house to have a cup of tea, or in my case go the loo, do you know, that way you won't be looking at the door wreath to see is there more on one side than the other. And other thing is, this could definitely be used on a grave as well. And you've been listening to me over the past few nights, like I love my grave wreaths to be nice and fancy and full of material. I hate grave wreaths to be skimpy looking, but there's nothing wrong. If that's what you fancy, don't hurt anybody's feelings. If you fancy, you know, a plain looking wreath, absolutely go for it. Now that's what it looks like now with the orange slices, tartan ribbon, pine cones, lotus heads and a red rustic sticks. Now the last thing I need to do is just put a little hanger on it for hanging on the door. So normally I kind of go for a neutral enough ribbon. You're not going to see this ribbon. I'm going to hook it in around the base, tuck it in kind of between the greenery that you don't see it from the front. I always think that's important. So the ribbon is from the back, and I'm just tying a single knot is absolutely fine. And I'll just hold that up there just so that you can see it. And then I leave it with them two strings, because the idea is I give it to the customer like that they can carry it, and then when they bring it home they can tie it onto their own knob or their own knocker on their door, secure it, tie a bow, or get rid of the spare pieces of ribbon that's left over. So listen, enter the competition, say pick me, name Santa's reindeer, or remember to share the video, but put it in the comments, because we're going to go through all the comments in a few minutes now and pick a winner, and we'll comment underneath. The other thing is, if you need any information at all on any of our courses starting next year, drop me an email, info@caseflowerschool.com. And if there's something that you'd like me to demonstrate, or maybe show up, you know, show you a technique maybe up close or personal or whatever, just comment in the comments below and I'll try and oblige. Listen, the best of luck. Thanks a million for joining. Really appreciate you all sharing. I can see all the clicks there happening. Have a great evening, or have what's left of it. Have a lovely evening, and I'll talk to you all very soon. See you then. Bye bye.